Hello everyone, welcome back to the stream. It's been a while, and yeah, this morning we're going to be working on Gunforged. It's a beautiful Sunday morning over here, and yeah, looking forward to getting some nice work done. But before I get into it, if you all are interested in Gunforged, it's a roguelike vampire survivors kind of style shooter. With lots of customizability and lots of build synergies. So if that sounds interesting to you, please go and wishlist the game. Link is in the description. And if you're interested in my new Udemy course, how to create a 2D survivor style game in the Godot engine, that link is also in the description, so you could check that out to learn how to make a complete game in Godot 4. So yeah, good morning everyone. Good morning, good morning. Welcome to the stream, Nos Syndrome, Dula, Daniel, welcome all, welcome all. Oh, I see. Okay, I was like, wait, how am I duplicating my voice? Okay, good to hear. Hello, Sag. Hey, Dines, welcome back. Sorry it's been so long since the last stream. I've been very busy. Creating Udemy courses takes a lot of effort. That was quite a thing. But now my focus is we're going to be working on building out the vertical slice for the game. I want to have a demo of the game available within the near-ish future so that all of you can play it. And so I've pretty much put a pause on building new features, and I'm basically just trying to hyper polish the game right now. So maybe I'll show you what the game looks like, what I've done. So all of this hasn't really changed that much. I did redo some balancing things, but for those that haven't seen the game, this is basically the style. So you've got an arena in which enemies keep coming at you, and your goal is basically to use your left and your right gun by using left and right mouse button to kill as many enemies as possible. And that's new, so after you beat the wave, beams come down and send down an upgrade table and a lever, and so I can press E at the upgrade table. That will bring up the passive menu, which I believe, I don't know if I've shown this on the YouTube channel yet, but this is the new passive selection screen. So I can choose between 3 passives. These are permanent for the rest of the run. And let's just go ahead, let's take Imaginary Friend. So this one summons a phantom gun that deals 50% of the damage of your weakest gun. So I'm going to grab that. And then I get to choose a new gun part for either my left or right gun. So the thing that we're seeing now is the banana receiver, and this shows me the difference when I apply it to my guns. So I can have a shotgun with a banana receiver, and you can see how the stats change. I can click Reforge if I want, and that will give me 2 new ingots here that I can select from. I'm going to keep going here. Okay, yeah, so this part, this crystal magazine, adds this legendary affix kind of deal. So if you played ARPGs, you can get like these unique items that have build changing affixes. That's kind of what a lot of the parts in this game do. So this crystal magazine adds this affix, which is bullet splits when colliding with enemies. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And now I should be shooting crystal bullets, and I can press this lever, send those things away. And now I have a crystal gun that explodes into a bunch of shards when it hits enemies. That looks amazing. That's exciting. Thank you. Love how everything slides in. Thank you. Yeah. Feel like the uncle of the phantom gun because I was there when you chose to make it. Oh yeah. Yeah, I do remember that. Adding some Diablo. Yeah, so basically it's going to be a matter of like getting all of the right passives and all of the right gun affixes to enable all kinds of different wacky builds. So the goal is to go for something like Vampire Survivors, where you just keep collecting upgrades and you just keep filling the screen with more and more ridiculous abilities. That's kind of what I'm going for, but this style of game is a little bit more active than Vampire Survivors and Brotato because not only are you controlling your movement like in those games, but you're also controlling where you're aiming, right? So it's a little bit more interactivity compared to those types of games, but going for the same kind of like horde slaughtering feel, right? Yeah, exactly, Nos Syndrome. Hey, Lynx. Welcome, welcome. So that's basically everything that I've done. Yeah, animating all the UI, making the UI look more like it has forging elements like metal and fire and stuff like that. But trying to keep it so that the game doesn't balloon. One of the reasons why I had these things beam down instead of transitioning to a different hub room is just mostly because it's easier, but also it's a little bit more streamlined. There's less downtime when they just beam right in on top of you, and you can interact with the table here. And let's see, we could take Blood Brothers here. And then I also added scrolling to these. This is kind of like placeholder, but when these stats get really long, you can scroll on the ingot itself, so the little panel here. So what's this one? So we got poison stacks. This one applies bleed as well, and oil. Oh yeah, we're going for that. All right, so we're taking that, and I believe if I hit I, so I can look at my guns here. So these are my current guns, but I can also scroll down to passives here. I have this Blood Brothers, which I think some of you were here for the development of this Blood Brothers passive. This will summon a blood golem when a bleeding enemy dies, and so my main weapon applies bleeding. So I'm going to be outputting a lot more damage with these Blood Brothers. So let's go ahead and see how that looks. Oh, there are some Godot graphical artifacts still. But you can see, I don't know, it's kind of hectic, but you can see the little Blood Brothers going on and blowing themselves up. Those little red explosions are the Blood Brothers. And I died. So I've been balancing the difficulty as well, and it's actually fairly difficult, but that's going to take a lot of work. But that's kind of why I want to build a demo, just to get everyone's feedback on how the difficulty feels, how the weapons feel, and all that good stuff. Okay, so today in this stream, what we're going to be doing is redoing the shop UI. So this is an absolute mess. This is one of the things that got butchered due to the Godot 4 upgrade. And so we're basically going to be redoing this. Now, how do I want to redo it? That's a good question. So originally the shop had a whole grid here of different items you could buy, and it could be like 10 different items. But I want to simplify this UI, and I have some ideas, but I think what I might do is I might just make the shopkeep have 3 items for purchase at a time, and maybe you can re-roll the items that are available for purchase as well. But not sure if that's going to be good or not. Sorry, one second. I've also got, let's see, I don't want to, sorry, I'm just trying to, there we go. So here's some mock-ups that my friend did. And this is what the shop could look like. So could have the shopkeep here with a panel on the left of a bunch of different items that you can buy. This is the old card design, so this was made a while ago. I've had this on my backlog for quite a bit. But so basically have 3 of these or a couple of cards here showing based on what you've got selected in this left-hand side here. So if you selected a weapon part, it would then show you each of your guns with that part on it. And if you selected something like a health globe, it would just show a single card. Could do that. Maybe that's the best thing to do. We can start with this, I think. We'll start with this, see how that works. And if that doesn't appear like it's working very well, then we'll take a different approach. Do I have an option to add outlines to allies versus enemies? That's a good idea. Maybe I can do that. Yes, a demo is coming, Sag, for sure. Hello, Lorenzo. Welcome back. It has been a while. Yeah, that would be cooler to have a shop, like a shop room, but that's so much work. Maybe in the future, but I think for now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to just beam him in like with the rest of the things. Maybe I'll add some more props like crates and stuff that beam in with him. I definitely want to do more environment decoration and stuff, but I just need to make sure that I'm, number one, making the environment, rooms and whatnot look good and not spending too much time on those. So I'm trying to keep it as streamlined to the mechanics as possible just for the sake of releasing this game in a reasonable amount of time. So, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right, so here's our shop UI. Let's take a look at the code. All right, what do we got going for the code? So the way, I think, if I recall correctly, sorry, 1 second. All right, something's wrong with my my headphones, but we'll ignore that for now. So the way that this shop UI works is that I pass in a list of these shop items, and these shop items have a certain set of properties here. So we've got like name, price, the texture to use for the image, and all that kind of good stuff here. We've got a quantity and use outline shader. I actually don't know what this does. I haven't visited this in a long time. But so basically we pass in a list of shop items. Now, where are the shop items used? So let's see. I believe it's used in the shop keep. So let's go to the shop keep. Here we go. So in here, here's the generation code for the shopkeeper. So we got generate rewards. It apparently always adds a health globe so that players can heal. And then it randomly picks a bunch of gun parts and then adds those to the shop items list. And then I believe, yeah, it handles all of the interactions with the UI as well. So the shopkeeper is responsible for handling the inputs that come back from the shop UI. Okay, so this seems simple enough. Okay, so I think the best place to start here is basically just to gut the shop UI here, because it's just not gonna... There's basically going to be nothing here that we want to reuse. Okay. So perhaps the best thing to do then is to duplicate this. Duplicate. Let's rename first. Rename shop UI old. Rename shop UI old. Okay, and we'll just keep that around just so that we can reference it before we outright delete it. Okay, so I've got my shop UI here. I'm just gonna go ahead and delete all those. Okay, perfect. Resource preloader, we don't want anything in there. All right, so now we've got a blank margin container. So what are we going to do? So there's going to be a left-hand side here that has all of the options that you can select for purchase. And then the right-hand side will be to display any previews of what you might be purchasing. So how are we going to do that? Let's create an HBox container first. Then we'll go ahead and add a panel container. And let's see. We want this to shrink center and shrink center. I guess the horizontal doesn't matter. Let's add another margin container in here just to add some padding around the sides. And then we're going to have sort of like a button. Do I want to use a toggle button? Is there a check button? Do I want to use that? Oh, maybe not. Basically, there's going to be a grid of items in here. Maybe I'll just stub it out for now. So let's say VBox container, let's do a texture rect. And then we need an HBox container. So the label is going to be the name of the thing. So name. And then we're going to add another texture rect, which is basically just going to have the gold icon. So let's see. I don't know why these labels have so much empty space at the bottom. I think it's due to the line height. It's like the line height or the line spacing takes effect even when there's a single line. So it ends up having all this extra space, which is kind of annoying. Hey Vidra, welcome back to the stream. Good to see you here. All right, so we won't worry about that alignment for now. We're just getting it stubbed out. So this texture rect, I think what I'll do is I'll probably set the custom minimum size to be probably 32 by 32. Something like that, or does it need to be bigger? Maybe it needs to be bigger. Okay. Let's just use our favorite... Use our favorite banana receiver here. And we don't want to... want to keep it centered, yeah. So maybe it doesn't need to be that big. 32 by 32 is probably okay. And we don't want it to fill. We want it to shrink center. There we go. Okay, so now we need an indicator that the item is selected. So this is basically... I'm going to need like hover states and click states here so that you can tell that these are clickable things. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to save this branch as a scene. I'll go to Scenes, UI. Let's create a new folder, I guess. Let's create a new folder called Shop. And in here, Shop Item Button. So we'll delete that from here, and then we'll open up the Shop Item Button over here. I'm going to add a margin container again, and we're going to make this the root here. And we don't need it to be... we don't need it to have a lot of padding. I think I'll just add like 4 in every direction here. And the reason that we're doing that is because I need to be able to add something like a panel behind this to represent the highlighted state. Oh, maybe I did that wrong. Did I do it wrong? Let's add a panel container instead. I think I need to make it a panel container. Make this the scene root. Then have a margin container, yeah. And then this panel container, let's reset the size and position. Okay. I'm going to reduce the padding on this. Well, let's not do that yet. Because this panel container has padding inside of it, but I'm going to change it. So this is going to become... Where is my panel? Here we go. So let's do a new style box flat. The background color, let's just make it white. Or let's just make it an obnoxious blue color just so we know it's working. And then we want the corner radius. We want some kind of corner radius here. That'll work. Okay. All right, that'll work. Oops. Did I seriously just undo that? Okay, well, guess we're doing that again. All right. That's fine. I'm not going to bother doing the other things that I did. Okay, so we've got the panel container. Now the tricky thing is, since I'm basically building my own button, let me back up a little bit. So we're not using a texture button or the normal button type because that's not going to display in the way that I want it to. And the way I wanted to do it is I want to lighten up the background when this is hovered and darken the background when it's selected, but otherwise keep everything else the same. And that would be very hard to accomplish with the ready-made buttons that Godot provides. So we're essentially going to be listening for the GUI events, the input events here, and then just manually updating the state. Hello, Save. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Dula. Or I already said hello to you. Just recently started Godot. Any tips for a newbie? Yes, my tip for you is to go buy my course. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. You can do that if you want. It is recommended that you have some programming experience for my course, though. So if you don't have that, then I'd recommend. There's a lot of really good free tutorials and course content on YouTube. Heartbeast in particular has a very high quality free. I think a couple of very high quality free courses on YouTube. So check out Heartbeast. Check out GD Quest. GD Quest in particular has a really good series for Godot beginners. So yeah, I would look up those two channels on YouTube and follow along with those. That would be a good place to start, I think. And then also read the documentation, because Godot has a very good getting started guide that kind of gives you an introduction into what's going on. So yeah, documentation as well. You're welcome. All right, so we're gonna rename this. It's already called shop item button here. Let's go ahead and slap a script on it. And why is that not working? Oh, I need to create a scripts directory for the shop. So let's create a new folder. Call it shop. Perfect. Okay. Game.ui.shop is the namespace. So we've got the shop item button. One thing that I want to do is I want to mark all of these as mouse input ignore. I think I can probably leave them on pass, but I'm just going to set them to ignore to be safe, because we're going to handle all the GUI input at this root node here. So, public override void ready. And what are we going to do? I'm going to say GUI. What is it called? GUI input plus equals on GUI input. Cool. Private void on GUI input. And this takes an input event just like so. My C# completion IntelliSense is being very slow, which is unfortunate. So if event is input event. Do I want to do this? No, I think I can simplify this. I think there's a mouse entered signal. And there's a mouse exited signal as well. So let's go ahead and add those instead. I will need to keep this GUI input though, because we need to detect mouse clicks. So on mouse exited here, private void on mouse entered. Let's comment this out for now. Okay, and I need to rename this. So on mouse exited. So there's our signal handlers for those things. Why is this not working? Okay, so it's just being slow again. All right, false red squiggles. And let's see. Let's create a Boolean here. Private bool is hovered. Is hovered equals true. And then is hovered equals false when we exit with the mouse. Let's create another function here. Update display. And now the tricky thing is, what I'm going to need to do is probably, what am I saying? Probably need a reference to a bunch of different styles here since I'm managing the panel myself. Or do I need to do that? I wonder if there might be a trickier thing that I can do here. I might do that. So I might just take, instead of having a style that I switch between at the root here, I might just create like 2 separate panels with different style boxes. And then here, let's create a new style box empty. Yeah. Yeah, that'll work. So I can say this is the hover panel, and this is the selected panel. And now I can pretty easily just add my own style in here. So my own style box flat, let's just make it blue. So that's the hover one. And then the selected panel, I'll just copy this style here and paste it here. But then I will make this unique and then just darken it, I guess, just for testing purposes. Will you be making a C# Godot tutorial in the future? Yes, eventually. I don't have anything planned for the near future, but I will eventually do that, yes. I want to, but it's just a matter of priorities right now. I had started to learn Godot, but Godot 4 was around the corner, so I waited. Yeah, you should get back to it. It's really fun. I like Godot a lot. It's a very fun piece of software. So we've got our hover panel and selected panel. Let's gotta add references to those things. So panel, and then node, private panel, selected panel. And we need another Boolean here. Is selected. I use Unity right now, but it's kind of heavy and slow. Yeah, a friend of mine had that same problem and switched to Godot, and now he's really liking the fact that it's speedier. So update display. So we're gonna say if is selected. Do I want to do that? Let's see. Hover panel dot visible equals is hovered and not is selected. And then selected panel visible equals is selected. So So in here, we're going to call update display. And then we're also going to do that in here. Perfect. And then in here, if this event is action pressed, is it called mouse click? I don't remember what I called that. Click left, okay. So if we click the left mouse button in here, we're going to say is selected is equal to true, and then update display. So this is obviously not going to do anything yet beyond the visual stuff, but let's see what happens. So in this margin container, let's add a grid container. Let's make it 3 columns, and then let's just instantiate a bunch of shop item buttons. Okay, so that's kind of what we're working with. This margin container may be unnecessary, so we'll just get rid of that. Okay, so kind of ugly, but there's a lot of work to be done still. Oops. I want to go to the shop item button, and I just need to call update display in the ready method here. All right, let's give this just a quick run and see if I set up all that code correctly. Okay, so it's correct for the most part. There's still something wrong here, which I believe is I haven't set these to ignore mouse filter. So let's see, mouse mode or mouse filter, ignore. All right, that should work now. So let's give that a shot. Cool, so now when I hover and then the select, obviously I need to deselect those, but the selection state is not going to be controlled by the button. It's going to be controlled by the shop UI. So basically the shopkeeper is going to connect to the shop UI to detect the inputs, and the shop UI is going to connect to the shop item button, and they're going to like shuffle between all those 3 layers, all of the data about what's selected and what should be displayed and all that stuff. But that is looking good so far. So the next challenge here is let's get the actual items that are being generated. Let's get the actual items going. Now, let's see. Tommy, welcome to the stream. As a programmer, I just find Godot's structure makes more sense to me than Unity Unreal. I agree, yeah. I think Godot just makes a lot of sense, particularly for people that are very familiar with object-oriented programming. I mean, Unity has some of that, but I mean, Godot is just like basically object-oriented at its core. Like that's the entire design philosophy behind it. And of course, you can then extend and use different typical patterns that you'd see. You can apply typical like software design patterns, and you can also use composition. Basically write your own nodes and then compose your game's functionality out of your own custom nodes. So it's just really, really fun. Overall, I love it a lot. I love it a lot. How am I doing? I'm doing great. How are you doing, Dr. Toucan? My only struggle with Godot was that I had issues with modifying nodes that are in other scenes. Yeah, so I think the way I design it is that the top level node is what contains all the API or the methods for modifying the data contained within its child elements. So, you know, in this case, for instance, I have the shop item buttons, which are nested under the shop UI. The shop keep will spawn the shop UI, but will not know anything about the buttons. The shop keep can only connect to the top level shop UI items. And so it's going to be the responsibility of the shop UI to send the relevant signals back to the shop keep when buttons are pressed. So it's just like, you just have to have different layers of management, right? Lots of abstraction built. But generally, that's the way I view it, is like the top level node, the root node of a scene, is sort of the way that you interact with the sub-elements of that scene. You call things on it and receive things back from the root node, if that makes sense. You're good. You finally made a game using Godot and got to present it to randoms. Excellent. Excellent. Did they like it? All right. 1 second, everyone. I forgot to bring my water with me, so I'm just going to go grab that real quick. It'll be 15 seconds. Time me. Go. All right, I'm back. Okay, so let's now get these buttons displaying based on what data is generated. Now, what I want to do is, first of all, let me create... Well, hold on a second. This shop UI, this new one, needs to be moved into the shop directory, and then I need to add a new script to it. So game.ui.shop is the namespace. Okay, so I have this little helper extension method here. So if I do public override void ready, I have this if this.isTest scene. Or is current scene. Yeah, is current scene. So basically what this extension method does is it detects whether I ran the scene using this F6, this run current scene, which is super handy because in here I can generate a bunch of test data so I don't have to like play the game to see what's going on. But I have to figure out how this is being used. So I have this method here, this set items method. So let's copy that over to the shop UI, like so. And probably going to need to import these. Let's grab a reference to all the nodes that we need. So grid container. And then we need one for the resource preloader. And we have all these signal connections, but I don't think that I'm ready to use those yet. So, okay, cool. And then this is going to become the shop item button, because that's the new type that we're creating. And let's rename this to shop item button. Excuse me. Okay, and then we got this set item. So I need to create a set item method in the shop item button. Public void set item. And this is called, I think it's a shop item, right? Yes, shop item. Item. Oh, shoot. Am I importing? Oh, I have all these as members of the shop UI old. Whoops. So I just need to, I need to copy these and put these into the new shop UI. Probably would be good to put these in their own files, but nah, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so list shop items. So I need to get rid of this using static up here. That's not good. And then here, this needs to be imported from that new shop UI. Yeah, right there. Okay, perfect. It was mostly people passing by, but I got to introduce to a woman from Intel. Oh, nice. That's very cool. Yeah, connections are huge. Just installed wow. Just installed Godot today. It's so easy and fast than Unity. Yes. Yes, it is. Chatan, if I said your name right. Apologies if I didn't. Yeah, Godot is just like, I just don't, it's amazing to me how it's such a small, lightweight program and is just as powerful as other engines when it comes to 2D at least. You know, I know Unity and Unreal are sort of ahead of Godot in terms of 3D, but for 2D, it's like there's no need to download a huge engine, you know? Godot can basically do anything you want in 2D. All right, so when we call set item here, we need to change some things. So we need to grab a reference to the texture rectangle. And then we need a reference to the name label. And we probably need label, let's call it cost label. So I think I'm missing some things. So this is the name label. Perhaps the name label should be above the texture rect. Yeah, I think that sounds good. And then we'll have the cost label here. And I feel like these should be offset to the right, just like that. We'll see. Lots of alignment and beautification to do here, but this will be fine for now. Okay, so we've got the name. So I need to mark these as access's unique name. And then let's call this item texture rect. Mark that as a unique name as well. And then in here, instead of calling it texture rect, we're going to call it item texture rect. Okay. And so then in here, we're going to say item texture rect dot texture is equal to item dot texture 2D. Name label dot text is equal to item dot what is the property name? We'll go with name. Yes. Okay. So name label dot text, and then we have the cost label dot text is equal to item dot cost price, and this is an integer. What is this telling me to do? Behavior of int toString could vary based on user's locale settings. Okay, well, we'll just ignore that. I don't think that's important. So we've got all those items being set. Cool. So in the shop UI, now we don't have any breaking code. So now we just need to generate the test data. And let's see how the shopkeep is doing this. I see. So there's a bunch of code in here that is looking at the current game state and generating rewards based on that current game state, which is problematic if I want to generate test data. So I might just copy that. Obviously going to have to define that list, but let's see. I think we can basically just copy this stuff here. Okay. Let's see how that works. So I'll create a new method down here. Private void generate test data. Okay, and then we're gonna say var shop items is equal to new list shop item. Oh no. Health globe texture. All right, this might take a little bit of extra effort to generate the test data. We'll see. Let's see. How's it going? Question for you. It's going good, Tom. Thanks for asking. Question for you. Are you going to be open about how successful game launch of Gunforged is? Yeah, probably. I mean, I probably won't. If you're asking if I'm going to give like exact revenue numbers, I probably won't do that. But I will probably do like a post-mortem that kind of mentions like, you know, how well it did in terms of like wish lists and traffic and general ballpark revenue numbers. Yeah, I just don't like to do like, I just don't like to mention the exact amount of money that I make from everything. But I will definitely, yeah, that'll be an entertaining video just to go over like a deep dive into how successful or unsuccessful it was. I've switched from Unity to Godot and 100% agree. Much more fun to work with. Indeed, indeed. Welcome to the stream, Mr. Duck. Good to see you. Neozoid. Yes, I'm back. How much progress did I make in Gunforged? Is this the first one after you left? No, I've made a bunch of progress, which you'll see as I'm developing here. But you could also watch the beginning of this stream where I kind of went through everything that's changed. But it's been quite a bit of progress. Not as much as I'd like, but I think for the next few weeks I'm going to have lots and lots of time to work on this. How we doing? Doing well, Crazy Ed. Welcome to the stream. Glad to see you again. We got all the usuals here and a couple of new people, so welcome everyone. Excited to hear that. I love learning about what went well for a game launch, for my own game launch. Yeah, it's definitely good, valuable resources. I've been binging launch-related content and like marketing content, and it's very helpful, but it's very it's very difficult. So yeah, so before I continue on this test data, for anyone that's new, I have a Udemy course called Create a 2D Survivors-like Game in Godot 4. The link for that is in the description. You'll learn how to make a complete game in Godot 4. So if you're interested, please check that out. And also, the game that I'm working on now is called Gunforged. You can wishlist that on Steam in the link below. All right, advertising, promotion, marketing over. Let's get back into this test data. So there's a gun part here, which is typically picked from the loot manager, which does not exist in the context where we're running the scene in a standalone fashion from this button here. So I need to figure out how to do that. So I had a test scene. Yeah, this scene right here. So this test gun generation, in here, I just generate guns without the context of having that loot manager in the scene tree. And so I just need to figure out how I'm actually doing that. So pick item, receiver IDs. I see. I wonder if I can make this static. Can I do that? So public static, pick item. Yeah. Okay. So I have this code that's here already. That's kind of, I mean, it's kind of messy, but if you're writing test code, I think it can just be however messy it needs to be in order to get what you need it to do done. It's only the real production code that needs to be nice. At least that's what I tell myself. Any garbage code that you just need for one-off testing can be garbage as you want. Okay, so let's go back to the shop UI. And so in here, this texture, I'm just gonna make this texture null here because we don't need that really. Pick gun part. Let's do all IDs equals new list string. Just like so. All IDs dot add range gun registry dot. Oh wait, I already have all IDs. All right, guess I didn't need to do that. So test gun generation dot pick item, and we're going to use the gun registry dot all IDs. And this gun registry here is basically an auto load that upon loading into the game, it actually scans the file system. So it will scan all of these gun resources, and it will parse out the IDs and map those into a nice global registry. That's mostly useful for testing, but it's also useful for things like I can basically say, give me the gun part with the ID of banana receiver. And I don't need a reference to the resource. I don't need to know where it's located on disk. I can just say, here's the ID, give me the resource. And the gun registry handles that. So I can say, for instance here, get gun part from ID. And that also handles the resource duplication under the hood. So I'm guaranteed to get a unique resource every time I call this. So that's the gun registry. And basically I can just use that to generate or to pick items here. Now, why isn't this working? Oh, I need to convert this to a list, I guess. Cool. Let's import... Well, actually, do I need this? This pick item, it returns a gun part resource. So I can say var resource is equal to that. And that means that I don't need this block right here. So we can get rid of that. Let's see. I guess I can just rename this to gun part. Cool. And I need to generate, let's just do like 10 of them or something. For int I equals 0, I is less than 10, I plus plus. Oops. All right, so that works. And then I can say set items with the shop items that I've generated. And there's our test data. So then in this ready method, I can say if this is current scene, then I'm going to say generate test data. Cool. All right, let's see what happens. Very interested to know about the game launch success and how to good in it. Yeah, well, so I'll probably do a video on how it did after launch. That's a little bit of a ways away though, but yeah, I will definitely do that. Almost missed this one, been a while. Yes, welcome back, Cheesem. Good to see you. Totally agree about code mess only for working what I want. Yeah. Hello, Ines. Welcome to the stream. Good to see you. How's everyone? How is everyone? All the new joiners here. Okay, so let's see what happens when I run this now. Oh, I need to do a couple things. I need to mark this as unique. Do I need to do anything else? I need a resource preloader, which I have, but it needs to have the shop item button. There we go. All right, let's run this and see what happens. All right, so it's kind of working. So we've got these items, sniper magazine, moss barrel. So it generated a bunch of them and also generated prices for each of them. So we're basically working here. There is something that I need to do, which is that I need to make this 2 columns. Oops, 2 columns. And then I want to do a scroll container. But I don't know where to put the scroll container. We'll just put it on the outside. That's fine. So we got the scroll container. This is going to need to be... Did I give this a minimum size? What did I do here? So we want to shrink this center in the vertical, right? Yeah. And then we want to disable where's the scroll here? Scroll container. I thought I could control whether it scrolls vertically and horizontally, but I don't. Am I missing that somewhere? Oh, horizontal scroll mode disabled. Right. Vertical scroll mode auto. And then I need to set a custom minimum size here to something like 300. Huh. Do I want it to be 300? Whatever, let's just go ahead and see what this looks like. Okay, that looks reasonable. The thing that's concerning is that this text makes these stretch out quite a bit. So I wonder if I should make the text wrap. This is definitely the most difficult part about doing low-res games, is like trying to figure out how to make the UI fit, because you don't have a lot of screen real estate, really. Okay, wrapping the titles, I think, seems good. I think what I'll do is I'll give these a bigger minimum size. So I'll give these like 96 maybe, 96 by 96. Just big chonkies. All right, let's see what happens. Did that not work? Did I do something wrong? Oh, I didn't change the minimum size. I got to change the minimum size here. There we go. 96, 96. All right. Okay. So perhaps that's a little bit too big, but I'd rather it be like this than too small. All right, we'll keep that. We'll shift these, this HBox container here needs to shrink end in the vertical and then have expand checked so that it goes to the bottom. And then here, text direct, I think this one should also expand. Oh, I think I need to uncheck. There we go. Yeah. So we've got the middle one expanding to fill the remaining space to center the texture. Okay. I think that makes sense. All right. It's starting to come together a little bit. And then obviously gotta redo the scroll bar. Still using the default Godot one. You're gonna add more classes from your Udemy course? I do have a couple. If you're asking if I'm going to add more like lessons to the end, I do have like 3 more lessons that I still have to edit and put up. So those will be coming at some point. I just need to find like a chunk of a couple hours to do it. You tried Godot also, and after using it sometime, I realized that Unity was more easy and comfortable. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, yeah, I mean, that's definitely reasonable. You should use whatever tool that you're most proficient with, because I think, you know, at the end of the day, it's like, can you build a game in Unity and can you build a game in Godot? And if you're actually trying to build a game and you're very familiar with Unity, wow, then yeah, you should stick with that. Because you're right, learning a new tool is a whole set of other concerns that is not, it's not conducive to actually getting a game done, right? And I think this is why people generally recommend against creating your own game engine, because creating your own game engine is a project in and of itself. And if you're trying to do that in addition to making your game, then you're basically working on 2 full-time projects. But by the same token, if you're most efficient at just building the engine as you use it, then you should do that, right? It's all a matter of what you're good with, I think. Unity's rebuild time to test every change. Yeah, that's kind of annoying in Godot too when you're using C#, for sure, because there's just a little bit of time. It's not nearly as long as Unity's, but it still can be a little bit annoying. Will I ever make a Godot C# course? Yes, at some point in the future. It's probably not going to happen anytime soon, but at some point I would love to do that. Okay, so we've got the things generating. We still need to make them look a little bit nicer, but let's get the state working. So in the shop item button here, let's create a signal, public delegate void selected. And then we will, what will we do? Let's look at the shop UI old here and go up. Shop item, shop item. So where is this being used? Purchased. Okay. Is there index being used anywhere? Whoops. Index. I actually don't think this index is being used anywhere, so I'm gonna delete that because it's adding a little bit of confusion as to how I'm gonna go about determining which shop item was collected, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a signal up here in the shop item button rather, selected. And when we click it, we're going to emit that signal. So we're going to say emit signal, signal name dot selected. Oh, I have to put event handler at the end. Okay, so we've got our selected event handler. Let's go back to the shop UI. And then in here, shop item button dot selected plus equals on shop item selected. And I probably actually need to define like a little lambda function here. On shop item selected. Okay, so let's create that function down here. Private void on shop item selected, shop item. So now what I need to do is I need to say for each var button in get grid container got get children, and this is of type shop item button, and I basically need to unselect everything that wasn't this button. So I'm actually going to shop item button selected button, and we'll add another argument up here. Cool. So if button is not equal to selected button, we're going to call button.deselect, which does not exist yet. So let's go into that class here, and let's create a public function called deselect. And we're simply going to say is selected equals false, and then call update display. Cool. All right, so when we select the shop item, we should see things being deselected now. So let's go ahead and give that a shot. Cool, so now we can only have one item selected. Okay, so that's basically that. Now comes the tricky part of displaying this content over here on the right side. Let's see, Vidra, have you had jittering and other problems with pixel perfection in Godot 4? Yes, I have had problems. It's not as noticeable in Gunforge because everything's just flying all over the place. So I haven't really bothered to look at a solution for jittering because it hasn't bothered me too much. So yeah, I think it's a known problem with Godot 4. And I guess we'll just see what the developers come up with to address that problem, because there's a bunch of GitHub issues about that specific thing. You're not too late, Light. Welcome, welcome. Are the assets you used in your course free somewhere? Yes. Most of the assets were from kenny.nl. So you can go to kenny.nl, that website, and find them. I think it's called Tiny Dungeon is what the assets are called, the sprite assets. And then some of the sound effects are from that site as well. But I did get some other public domain assets from elsewhere online. Hello, Xeon. I use GameMaker. I tried Godot out by implementing a Game Jam game that I did on GameMaker. Godot's features are cool, but since I already have knowledge on GameMaker, I stay with it. Yeah, like I said, it's smart to stay with what you know. Especially in a Game Jam context. Because you don't have to spend all the time learning the tool that while you're trying to build a game on a tight deadline. Will you ever create an intermediate Godot course? It was incredible and very insightful. Well, that course kind of is intermediate, I guess. But if you're asking like if I'll do something a little bit more difficult or a little bit more complicated, it's possible. It's possible. I don't know for sure. Courses take just such a long time to make. So I have to be very careful about which ones I decide to make. All right, so let's see. We need to display content over here depending on what's been selected. And I think what we need to do is so I've got, let's see. Assembled gun ingot selector. So I've got these that I can stack next to each other. Like so. Looks like it doesn't fit quite on the screen. But basically what I'll do is when you select a part over here, well, if it's a weapon part, then it will show up with this selector here. So we'll see how that works. I do need to shrink some things here though. So maybe what I'll do is maybe I'll just change this from a grid container to a VBox container. And I'll just make it a single list. Yeah, I think I'll do that. Got to make some compromises here in terms of the size of everything. I do think that I probably want the scroll container to be a child of the panel container. Yeah. Okay. And then this HBox container here, let's change the separation to 16 just to add a little bit of extra space. Okay. So that's kind of what will happen when a gun part is selected. So let's say gun part selection container. We'll call that one left gun assembled selector, and then right gun ingot selector here. So let's create a node for that, private, what was it called? HBox container, and it was gun part selection container. Gun part selection container. So we've got that. And let's make this accessed by unique name and these ingot selectors as well. Now this is going to be probably a little bit tricky here. So when we select a shop item, let's create another method in here called update display. UI work is very, very tedious. Very tedious. But that's why we're all hanging out together, having fun, having a good time. All right, so in this update display, what do we want to do? Let's store a reference to the selected shop item in this layer here. So private shop item, selected shop item. All right, and then when our shop item is selected right there, we're going to say selected shop item is equal to item, right? Did I not do that correctly? Nope, it was just it was just delayed. Okay, so when we select a shop item, we'll mark that as selected shop item. Now, the one thing that I want to do is I want to start off with something selected. So after we create all the buttons, I'm going to say wait a minute. I need to rename this to VBox container. I'll just call this shop item button container, just to remove some confusion here. Shop item button container. Okay, then I'm going to say shop item button container. I should probably be a little bit safe here. So if shop item button container count is greater than 0, Then we want to say shop item button container dot get child. Get the first one, so the first child. Then we're going to say select, which I need to create. Okay, so let's go to our shop item button. We have a deselect. Let's create a public void select. I'm going to say is selected equals true. Update display. And we also need to emit signal name of, or not name of, signal name dot selected. And then in here, instead of doing all of that calling right here, we're just going to call select. So now we can call it externally, but also internally, and it will have the same behavior. Cool. All right, so once something gets selected then, so that will trigger the selected signal, and that means that will trigger an update automatically. So in this update display here, what we're going to do is we're going to say if selected shop item is, and what was it called? Is it like a gun part shop item? Gun part shop item, like so. We're going to set gun part selection container dot visible is equal to false, or is equal to true rather. We'll set it to false initially and then reset it to true. And now we have to configure those assembled gun ingot selectors, which is a very long name. So private assembled gun ingot selector. We'll call that left gun ingot selector. Oops. Okay. And then we've got our right gun ingot selector. Now I don't exactly remember how to do this. Left gun ingot selector dot set. Yeah, I have no clue. Assembled gun ingot animator. Oh boy. So, sorry, I gotta look at my other screen here and see what's going on. Okay, so I basically need to do this. That big line, so I need to set the gun slot on the assembled gun ingot, which is of the assembled gun ingot animator, which is of the ingot selector. Oh, geez. I'm probably gonna need to connect to all of these, honestly, so I'm just gonna grab those. Probably should figure out how to refactor this a little bit, but that's a project for another day. So we got to import that player gun manager. These I'll keep in here, but I'll reference those later. Now, how do I actually end up setting the part that needs to be... Oh, here we go. Swap to part. I see. This is going to be a mess, I bet. Here we go. So copy those lines. I don't know. We're just going to have to roll with it and see what happens. This becomes gun part shop item dot gun part resource, I believe. Okay, well, we'll do it live. All right, wish me luck. Here we go. Okay, it crashed. Why? Could not match member shop item button container. Shop item button container. Oh, did I not change the type? I didn't change the type. This is a VBox container now. Perfect. All right, so we got our health globe. For some reason, this is not disappeared. So let's figure out why that happened. Am I calling update display anywhere? Is that my problem? Yep, okay. Right here I need to call update display. Okay. Let's see what that does. Okay, so that's disappeared. Now if I pick this... Okay, we're getting somewhere. There's a lot of issues in here. But also it's just not it's not displaying the proper stuff. Did I not set the selected shop item here? I did. Let me print this. Good morning, Brant. Welcome, welcome. First time catching you live. Udemy courses were really good. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad that you like them. Yeah, I don't know why this is happening here. Ref counted. Am I just not doing something correctly? I mean, that's likely, but I wonder if this swap to part is the problem. We'll just get rid of that for now. No, it's just not setting the, it's not setting those at all. Okay. All right, let me think about that. Give me like 60 seconds. I gotta go take a quick break and then be back at it to figure out why this isn't working. In the meantime, you can wishlist Gunforged. The link is in the description, and you can also check out my new Udemy course. Link is also in the description for that. Okay, I'll be right back in about 60 seconds. All right, I'm back. All right, let's continue. So, gotta figure out why. So these should be showing. Oh wait, now I know why it's not working, because there's no player. These can't show the. They can't show the content of the guns currently because, well, there is no player. So there's a way that I can kind of get around that, which is I can just spawn the player in like so. So I'll just copy that block of code right there, and then in the shop UI, when we generate the test data, I'll just spawn the player in like so. Pretty hacky, but I think it'll work. So now let's go ahead and try it. Didn't work. Okay, just forgot an import there. So let's go ahead and see what happens here. Okay, perfect. So now we can see that this is working great. And I can switch to these different things. They're not swapping to the part appropriately. So let's do this. Let's uncomment the play in or comment the play in and then uncomment the swap to part and see what that does. Okay, that looks pretty decent. Yeah, that looks okay. I'm just wondering now. I'm just wondering if it's going to be annoying to click through all these and have to click through everything to see what the change is going to be. So like I can't tell if this shotgun receiver is going to be good until I click into it. Do you know what I mean? Do I have a Discord channel? I do not. Do I want to keep this? Do we need to take a different approach? Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be super fun to have to click through all these to think or to see what the change is going to be. I guess if the animation wasn't there, maybe it would be a little bit nicer. So let's just see. Assembled gun ingot set part. So let's do that. So let's do that. Assembled gun ingot animator dot assembled gun ingot. Assembled gun ingot set part. And then I think get rid of that. Get rid of that. Let's see what that does. Where am I at? Here we go. That seems better. Maybe have an animation for in, but now that I can instantaneously view, it's actually not so bad. It was just having the animation that was kind of making it annoying. I think that's fine. It's kind of have to make a compromise here. Can't show everything on the screen at once. 3 or 4 options will make it pretty all right. Yeah, I should probably cut it down. Maybe 10 is too many. Yeah, maybe I will do that. I think that's fine, though, without the animation. Yeah, so in terms of... Why don't I have a Discord? Yeah, so I just don't have time between responding to questions on my courses, to making Gunforge, to making YouTube videos. I just don't have the time that I would need to properly manage the Discord server. So it's one of those priority things. I always have to cut out things that I'd like to be doing because the simple matter of priorities makes it so that other things have to be done first. But thank you for your interest. Didn't realize you could scroll in the ingots. Maybe making a little more clear to the player could be helpful. Yes, I'm going to do that. So here, this is just basically a placeholder. I want to do like a little fade out at the bottom and then have it say something like scroll or something like that. Definitely will be figuring that one out soon. Okay, let's see. And not only can you scroll, I mean, I should be able to use the arrow keys to go up and down, but I don't think that's working, so we'll have to figure that out too. And then I can choose one, and then it goes away. Okay, so I think that's probably okay. Let's generate fewer items here. I is less than 5. So we'll generate 5 items instead of 10. And we need to have something for like the health globe as well. And we also need to figure out price. Oh, wait. So the price is already displayed here. Yeah, I gotta figure out, probably do another ingot selector for the other shop items that are not gun parts. But let's get the gun parts working, I think. Do I want to do that? Get the gun parts working? Yeah. So there's a bunch of oddness right now relating to mouse events. So I'm going to ignore all of those. Let's see what happens now. See how it gets stuck? I don't know why that's happening. Some mouse events that are being intercepted somehow. So I just got to make sure the mouse filter is set to ignore on basically everything. But perhaps there's something I'm missing too about this. Gun part selection container, that one's ignore, right? Yep, ignore. Best way to handle pixel jittering is to snap all stationary objects to ints. Well, that's what the 2D pixel snap should be doing in the project settings. There's a snap 2D transforms to pixel. And when that's on, it should be doing exactly that. But maybe it works better when you do it through your own scripting. All right, let's see. Yeah, a lot of people chiming in about the Discord thing. Yeah, it's very it's time consuming to do it right. Thank you, Marcos. Yeah, thanks for offering. I would probably definitely, if I set up one, be definitely asking a lot of you, or not a lot of you, but just generally putting the request out there for people to moderate, but yeah, I'm not quite ready to set up the Discord server. All right, I wish I could figure out this this mouse issue here. That's kind of annoying. Let's see. Assembled gun ingot selector. So I don't see anything in here that would be presenting a problem here. It's just like it's not unselecting that when I mouse over here. I wonder, is there a reason? I mean, I don't think setting this mouse filter on the scroll container is going to do anything. But let's just go ahead and try it. Yeah, there's something here that's causing the mouse events to not be detected properly. Yeah, very bizarre. I don't know why that's happening. That kind of throws a wrench into things. Is the bounding rect... So in the mouse entered here, there's a bounding rect. I wonder if this is not the proper size. Maybe it is. No, it should be. Let's just print in here. gd.print did not detect enter. Let's see what that does. Wonder if there's a problem with my mouse detection code here. Yeah, there is a problem with the mouse detection code. Interesting. So it's definitely a problem with this bounding rectangle here. Why would that be happening? I'm gonna try something. Public override void process. I'm gonna update this hover state on every frame instead of on those events. And see what that does. Is hovered true. And then we need to call the play in right here. Oops. Oh boy, this is actually probably going to be very bad. I just want to see if it works though. So we'll see what happens. This needs to be play out. Yeah, so it's like not detecting the mouse. It's not detecting the mouse position correctly. Weird. What the heck is going on? All right then. Why isn't that working? Oh boy. Well, looks like we got a mystery on our hands. Yep, yeah, it is a lot of energy. That's the thing that I'm worried about, is not being able to interact with everyone properly. I don't like that approach much because I think it snaps the move and slide. Oh, are you talking about the rounding? So everyone game developers, we're all trying to be, yeah. Yeah, just mess around. I mean, I don't really consider myself an indie game developer either. I mean, I guess you could say that I'm making indie games, but it's not like my full-time thing, you know? Hey, Arlen. Really enjoy your approach to problem solving and project organization. Yeah, cool. I'm glad to help you out there. What was the hardest part of creating the Survivors tutorial? Do you want to know the honest truth? The hardest part was editing all the footage. I'm not even joking, because I recorded like 24 hours of raw footage, and I did that all up front, and then I had to edit 24 hours of footage, and that took weeks. Very long days for many weeks. But yeah, that was the most difficult part. But everything else, like, you know, I've been doing Godot for a while now, to the point where creating something like that Survivors course it's just pretty natural. There were a couple, I mean, there were a couple places where I implemented something that didn't end up really being good for the course, so I like cut that part out and redid it. There was definitely some editing going on while I was making the course, but yeah, the editing was the hardest part. Am I a semicolon or no semicolon kind of guy? What do you mean? I think I like semicolons. I know there's some JavaScript developers that don't use semicolons. It makes me feel weird. But I like semicolons. I like them. Maybe shopkeeper can have some dialogue like in Resident Evil 4 when they buy something. I want to do that, yeah, for sure. Would I like it to be my full-time thing? Yeah, it would be nice. It would be nice to be able to do my own thing, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, the steady stream of income is the problem. I have a full-time job as a software engineer, and that is a very steady, very steady income, so it'll be hard to give that up. I'd have to start having a lot of success in the indie game space before I did that. I don't know why this isn't working all of a sudden. Why is this not working? This UI is very complicated. Yeah, I don't know why this wouldn't be working. The global mouse position, it seems not to... It seems to not be detecting that properly. Is the bounding rect just wrong? Oh, maybe the bounding rect is wrong. I think I have an idea here. This position and size, I think this needs to be global position and size. Because it's local, this is a local position instead of a global position. So if I do that instead, there we go. All right, I fixed it. So it's just a problem of me not using the correct position. I should probably make sure that my wave reward selection screen still works as well. Okay, that works. Cool. Well, I'm glad to have figured that one out. Now we can continue working. I need to go back here, though, and undo some of these things that I did. Yeah. Cool. All right, looks like everything's working great. So when I select something, so when I select a weapon part, what needs to happen? What needs to happen? So I need to, what does the shopkeep expect? So when the shopkeep creates the shop UI, connects to the item purchased, and then on item purchased, it's removing the quantity from the shop item. And then if shop item is gun part shop item. Okay, so basically the shopkeep handles removing the gold and putting the item into your inventory. Okay. So I need an item purchased. Shop UI old. Let's see what that item purchased event handler. Whoops. Okay. Looks like we got a couple of things to do here. So, So all of these signals right here, those need to get removed and put into the ready method here. So we've got on select finished. I'm going to call this on gun part select finished. Yeah. On gun part select started. So now we got to create those. Private void on gun part select finished. Private void on gun part select started. This is taking the player gun manager dot gun slot. Copy that and put it right there. So when the selection is finished, we need to emit that signal of item purchased. So let's create a new signal up here. Signal public delegate void item purchased signal or event handler rather. And then we're going to send around the shop item and then the gun slot. Perfect. So on gun part select finished. What do we need to do? Emit signal. Signal name dot item purchased. Selected shop item and then the slot. And then why do we have this started? So finished is after the ingot goes down below the screen. Sorry, 1 second, I gotta fix this. So when the ingot goes down beyond the screen, it's marked as selected. But when it gets first selected, it's gotta do the animation first. And so this is what this signal is for. So this is where I'm going to disable all of the input. So I need to basically disable the input for all of the shop item buttons. So I'm going to create a new variable here. Public bool is disabled. And then in here, basically I'm just going to say, well, I'll just block out this GUI input. If is disabled, return. Okay. And then the shop UI, I'm basically just going to say for each var button in, it's up here. That's the line that I want. Button dot is disabled equals true. So we're basically just disabling the input for everything while the animation is happening. Now, what I might want to do is I might actually want to emit this signal here first so that it immediately gives the thing to the player. But then I'll disable everything until the animations are done. Okay. I think that should be basically fine. Let's see if that works. Okay, yeah, so I can't select anything until that goes away. Now I can't select this for some reason. Why can't I select? Oh, because it's already been selected. Shoot. Once these get selected, they can't be selected again. So I wonder if I need to be able to reset the state here. I think I need to copy these and then just create a method called reset state that I can call. Oops. This is a mess. Okay, current tween. I'm just going to call current tween dot kill if valid. Is dying is going to be false. Oops. Okay. So I can call reset state, and then in my shop UI, when I select a different shop item, up here, left gun ingot selector dot reset state, like so, and then we'll do the same thing for the right gun. Lots of little things. I just started using Godot and want to use C#. What extensions do you use for VS Code for C# and Godot? Just this, basically just the C# extension. That's the only thing that's, and the Godot tools extension. So there's a Godot extension. It's like the top result when you search Godot, and then I just use the C# extension as well. Hello, Vinicius. Nice to see you live. Yeah, I'm glad you're here. Loved your Godot 4 course. Would be awesome to have a course focused on C#. Yeah, I keep getting that suggestion, and so it's something that I want to do in the future, for sure. React developer. Yeah, I'm a React developer as well. Yeah, it can be a little bit difficult because it's not. You can't apply exactly the same kind of structures that you would in other software projects, right? Because Godot's got its own thing going on. But yeah, I would love to do a course like that at some point. Congrats on the Godot 4 course. Thank you, Buckets. A lot of fun with it. It's always interesting to see how different people organize a project. I'm glad you, I'm glad you liked it. You were behind 20 seconds, light. Sorry. Let's see if this reset state is working. So if I do that, and I select a new one. Okay, awesome. So obviously I need to disable the input on the opposite one now. So let's see. On select started, we basically need to say left gun ingot selector. Come on, C#. Thank you. Is mouse events disabled equals true. We're going to do the same thing for the right one as well. Okay, and then we're going to say var opposite selector is equal to slot is equal to player gun manager dot gun slot dot left question mark. This would be the right gun ingot selector and then left gun ingot selector. Okay, so if our slot is equal to left, the opposite one is the right, otherwise the opposite one is the left. And then what do we need to do here? I think we need to call opposite selector dot. Can I discard? Do I not have that? Oh, maybe I do. Maybe I need to do this. There we go. I think that's what I need to do. Okay, so now let's take a look at this. So now when I click on one, it should discard the other one and select that one. And then I can go to the other ones. And so obviously this quantity here needs to be disabled after you select it. But basically, that's how it's working. And it's not actually changing the player's weapons right now because, again, that's the domain of the shopkeeper to handle. And this is just responsible for, the shop UI is basically just responsible for passing data. You'll notice that I'm not actually doing anything to manipulate the game state in here. It's all manipulation of the UI state. So I just like to make sure that my UI is basically just doing only what it needs to do to display the data. And then there's another node or another scene that handles the actual inputs from the UI. It should fall and rotate a little as it falls. Perhaps. I mean, I wanted to make it still readable as it was falling. I think rotating it might make that a little bit harder, but maybe it would look better. It actually might look really good. So I'll have to play with that for sure. Oops. Okay, well, I think that's in good shape. So if I look at my old shop item card, which was for the old shop UI, it needs to be disabled if the quantity is equal to 0. And current data equals shop item. So if I go to my shop keep, it reduces the quantity of that item. So I need to handle that quantity, basically. So let's go ahead and handle that. So we have the hover panel, the select panel, and then let's just create a disabled one. disabled panel. This one, I might actually make that on top of everything. Yeah. And then here, we're going to make this unique. The color, we're going to make that basically black, but then have like... These are not final. Again, these are just placeholders for now so I can get the different states working. So we'll grab a reference to that. Panel disabled. Panel. And then, so I have a third state here then. So in my update display, not is disabled. Probably would have been better using a state machine here, but oh well. That should be fine. So now how do we know when it's disabled? So we're setting disabled manually. From where? From the shop UI. Yeah, so that might be a problem because we don't want to enable it again if it has no quantity, right? So, might need to create a method here. Public void. We'll create a function called disable and then public void enable if has quantity. Okay, and then when we call this set item, we're going to store a reference to that shop item. Okay, so we've got a reference to that. So when we call disable, we're going to set this is disabled equal to true. And then, and then we're going to say if shop item dot quantity is greater than 0 is disabled equals false. Okay, and then we need to call update display right here and right there as well. Okay, and then I'm also going to make this not public anymore. Hello? Is disabled. Go. Thank you. Okay, so in the shop UI, we need to get rid of this. So we need to call disable here. And then right here, we need to call enable if has quantity. All right. Now the problem is the shop keep, I think, is also the one responsible for decrementing the disabled count. So I think what I'm going to do for testing purposes, I'm going to say if this dot is current scene well, actually, let's do this. Item purchased event handler plus equals. Let's copy this up here. I'll just create my own little handler here. If it's the current scene, if it's a test scene. This should just be item purchased. Cool. So we'll say shop item.quantity. Whoops. Shop item.quantity minus minus. And then we'll just say for each var child in get children. Probably be easier to create a method called get buttons, so I don't have to keep doing this, but so in my button here, let's see, update display, I think if shop item.quantity is less than or equal to 0, then we're going to set is disabled equals true. Like so. I think that'll be fine. And then we should probably make this public, so I can call update display from yeah, so actually the way that I think this should work, where's my shop UI? So this update loop here actually needs to happen in the non-test version too. So down here, when this item purchased happens, after that signal is emitted, it needs to be updated. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new function. Private void get buttons. Shop item button container get children. And what does this return? List. Okay. And so now I don't have to keep calling that everywhere. So for each var button in get buttons, get buttons, get buttons. Okay. So, we're calling update display here after that signal is emitted, which should be fine. Or should it be on shop item selected? Where is this coming from? On gun part select started. Where is this on shop item selected? Oh, I see. Okay. My wording is a little bit confusing here. All right. But we're calling update display on all the children now. Oops. All right, well, let's see if it works. So we've got the decrementing the quantity in place. So let's see what happens. Where is it broken? Type or namespace shop item could not be found. Oh. I don't have any clue why this isn't working. Shop item card. Why are you breaking? What did I do? I messed something up here. All right, Neozoid, thanks for hanging out. We'll see you later. Shop item card. Why is this not working? Type or namespace shop item could not be found. All right, I'm about to just delete. I'm about to just delete the shop UI old here. Get rid of that. Fix dependencies. Okay, we're just gonna get rid of that for now. Okay, so now there's gonna be, okay, shop item card. Yeah, we're gonna get rid of these two. Okay. You have a problem with your code, just delete it. Very simple. We'll just get rid of this for now. Index is no longer a thing. Okay. Is this gonna work now? Let's see. Okay, awesome. So now I should see that after I click on this, everything's disabled. And now the banana receiver stays disabled. So I can't select it again. Perfect. So that's like the basic state is working. Obviously it's not subtracting gold or changing my weapon because again that's the purview of the shopkeep. So yeah. All right then. Let's see. So I think, yeah, I'm just gonna commit this and then I'll call the stream right there, a nice little 2-hour stream. So thank you all for joining. That was a lot of fun. Got a lot of the shop UI done. And yeah, it was great talking with you all. Great to see you all again. And I'll be streaming again probably next weekend. So subscribe to be notified when that happens. Again, you can wishlist Gunforged and check out my Udemy course. The links for both of those are in the description. And yeah, have a good rest of your day, everyone. And I will see you all later.